So I am the black person with the black experience.
Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
It's incredible that time after time, Kanye West continues to shock the world with outlandish, inappropriate remarks. Just when you think there's no way he could say anything crazier, he outdoes himself. Kanye's latest tweet has left social media stunned, a disturbing confession about having sexual relations with his cousin during his childhood. This revelation provides some dark and troubling insight into his past. As mental health experts have documented for decades, experiencing inappropriate sexual contact during childhood can have serious repercussions on future relationships. Today we're going to examine how this trauma might help explain Kanye's deeply problematic patterns with women throughout his career. From his controlling behavior to his obsessive need to transform his partners, we'll look at how his past might be influencing his present in ways that have become increasingly concerning. So let's get into it. In his shocking media post, the 47-year-old artist divulged finding explicit materials in his mother's closet as a teenager and subsequently engaging in sexual activity with his older male cousin until he was 14. These aren't vague implications. He was extremely explicit, even incorporating these details into lyrics for a new track titled Cousins. This disclosure isn't just another headline-grabbing Kanye moment. Mental health professionals and trauma specialists recognize this kind of childhood experience as potentially deeply harmful. Early sexual experiences, especially between family members, can profoundly impact development in ways that reverberate throughout adulthood. When children experience inappropriate sexual contact, their developing brains often struggle to process these experiences in healthy ways. The normal progression of sexual development gets disrupted, potentially leading to confusion about boundaries, consent, and appropriate expressions of intimacy. These children often develop coping mechanisms that, while protective in the moment, can create significant problems in their adult relationships. Some common long-term effects include difficulty establishing healthy boundaries, struggling with impulse control, trust issues, and problems with emotional regulation. Many survivors develop specific relationship patterns, sometimes becoming controlling as a way to create a sense of safety, sometimes recreating family dynamics unconsciously because that's what feels normal to them. Other common outcomes in the development of what therapists called splitting, a tendency to view people, especially romantic partners, as either all good or all bad, with dramatic swings between idealization and devaluation. This creates a roller coaster relationship between where someone is put on a pedestal initially, then harshly criticized or rejected when they inevitably fall to meet impossible expectations. Looking at Kanye's relationship history through his trauma-informed lens, certain patterns become clear. His relationships seem to follow a troubling trajectory: intense idolization, where the woman becomes his everything, followed by a period of control where he reshapes her according to his vision, then transformation, where the woman becomes almost unrecognizable from who she was before meeting him, and finally rejection and public humiliation when she inevitably asserts independence. It's worth noting that Kanye has previously acknowledged struggling with pornography addiction since the age of 5, an extremely young age that raises questions about early exposure to sexual content. In 2022, he stated, "This addiction since I was 5 years old has destroyed my family." Combined with his recent confession about sexual activity with his cousin, this paints a picture of seriously disrupted sexual development during crucial formative years. While we can't diagnose Kanye or claim to know exactly how these experiences shaped him, understanding the common effects of childhood sexual experiences helps contextualize his adult behavior. His relationships don't occur in a vacuum. They're influenced by these early formative experiences that may have fundamentally altered how he understands love, sex, power, and intimacy. Starting with the mother figure, Donna's influence. Before we talk about Kanye West's messy love life, we have to look at the most important woman in his life, his mom, Donda West. She wasn't just his mom, she was his rock, his biggest supporter, the one person who kept him grounded. Donda was an English professor, smart and strong, and she raised Kanye to believe in himself. She encouraged his creativity and stood by him through every wild idea. Their bond was extremely close. You can feel it in his older songs like Hey Mama, where he raps about love, family, and wanting something real. Back then, he seemed to see women as partners, not props. When you watch old interviews with Kanye and his mom, you see how she gently checks him when his ego got too big. She once told him, even a giant sees nothing in the mirror, a way of saying stay humble. She kept him balanced even as he got more famous. But everything changed when Donda passed away in 2007 after a cosmetic surgery procedure. That loss hit Kanye hard. It shook him emotionally and mentally. His music changed almost overnight. Albums like 808s and Heartbreak sounded colder and more distant. Instead of love songs, he made songs about pain, mistrust, and heartbreak. The warmth was gone. Without Donda, Kanye lost the one person who gave him unconditional love and kept him in check. Since then, it's like he's been trying to find her again through his relationships. But instead of finding support, he's been trying to control and shape the women in his life. That loss, mixed with guilt and grief, seems to have played a big role in how he treats love and relationships today. We start off with the first muse, Amber Rose. Kanye's relationship with Amber Rose marks the first clear example of what would become his signature pattern with women, and it provides a crucial window into understanding his approach to romantic relationships. Amber Rose wasn't a household name when she met Kanye. She was a video model with a unique look, but outside of hip-hop circles, most people didn't know her. That all changed once Kanye stepped in. Overnight, she was in high-fashion magazines, walking the red carpet in Paris, and being photographed like she'd always been a style icon. But none of that happened by accident. Kanye had a vision for her and he made it real. He didn't just date Amber. He curated her. He picked out her outfits, helped her shape public image, and made sure she looked like the kind of woman who belonged next to him. The shaved platinum blonde head and designer labels, the high fashion edge, Kanye crafted it all. And while Amber benefited from the exposure, there was always a feeling that she wasn't being seen for who she was, but for what Kanye wanted her to be. This relationship marked a turning point in how Kanye began to treat women. After the loss of Donda, who loved him unconditionally but also checked him when he needed, it was like Kanye wanted to recreate that kind of devotion but without the accountability. He didn't want a partner, he wanted a muse. And for a while, Amber played the role. She stood beside him, showed up in the looks he chose, and helped complete the visual story he was telling the world. But like any real person, Amber had her own thoughts, her own personality, and eventually her own path. That didn't sit well with Kanye. After they broke up, Kanye didn't just move on, he lashed out. In interviews, he made disrespectful comments about her, most infamously claiming he had to take 30 showers after being with her. That wasn't just a jab, it was public humiliation. It was Kanye trying to erase her value once she stopped playing the role he designed for her. But Amber didn't stay quiet. She clapped back. She spoke up about how Kanye treated her, took control of her own narrative, and started using her platform to advocate for women who felt silenced or objectified. In doing so, she exposed one of Kanye's biggest fears, a woman he once tried to control standing on her own unapologetically. Controlling the narrative, music as insight. Amber Rose wasn't just a moment in Kanye's life. She was the beginning of a reoccurring pattern. Transform, control, discard, then humiliate. And while much of his story played out in public appearances and interviews, the clearest, most unfiltered look into Kanye's mindset towards women can be found in his music. Because when the interviews end and the cameras shut off, Kanye's songs keep talking. And what they reveal is often darker than what we see on the surface. Take the Monster video from 2010, released right after his breakup with Amber. This wasn't just another flashy rap video, it was a horror movie where Kanye cast himself as the villain. He stands in a mansion surrounded by lifeless female bodies, some hanging, some draped across furniture like fashion props. The women were motionless, silent, and sexually posed. No personality, no agency, just part of the set design. That's not creativity, that's a confession. But it goes deeper. There's a clear racial divide in the visuals. The white women in the video are passive and lifeless, objectified in the most literal sense. But the black women, they're framed as monstrous or aggressive. It's a disturbing contrast that mirrors real-world stereotypes. White women as trophies, black women as threats. In one video, Kanye reveals not just his view on women, but his internalized confession about race, power, and control. And yet, around the same time he dropped Runaway, on the surface, it's his most vulnerable track, a toast to the douchebags, with Kanye admitting his own toxicity. He's self-aware, acknowledging he mistreats women, but instead of promising to grow, he tells women to flee from him. The piano-driven melody feels like a funeral for emotional accountability. He's not sorry, he's resigned. Kanye becomes the tragic anti-hero, broken but not willing to fix himself. The haunting, wordless outro, nearly 3 minutes of distorted vocalization, feels like a man trapped in his own emotional echo chamber. You can almost visualize him as a piano in an empty room, spiraling into self-pity and not self-improvement. And that becomes the emotional bridge to what comes next. Fast forward to 2016 and Famous. By now, Kanye's perspective has gone from confession to conquest. In the controversial video, wax figures of naked celebrities, Taylor Swift, Rihanna, and even George W. Bush lie beside him in bed. Their bodies are still stripped of personality, as if he owns their images, their narratives. Especially the women. They're presented like trophies. No voice, no movement, just part of Kanye's mythos. The evolution continued with violent crimes in 2018, where Kanye's perspective shifted again with the birth of his daughters. Rather than reflecting on his own objectification of women, he pivoted to a protector role, expressing fear about his daughters being treated the way he has treated women. There's an unmistakable irony in his concern that men might view his daughters as sexual objects when he spent years doing exactly that to other women. Instead of using his realization to change his behavior, his solution is restriction and control, limiting his daughters' choices rather than challenging the system that sexualizes them. This Madonna whore complex runs throughout his work. Women are either untouchable, his mother, his daughters, or objects of desire and control, with no middle ground for women as complete human beings with agency. Next up, Kim Kardashian. A muse becoming a possession. By the time Kanye got together with Kim Kardashian, the patterns we saw in his music, his need to control, reshape, and dominate the women in his life were no longer just symbolic. They became fully visible to the public, unfolding in real time. After Amber Rose, Kanye had rapped about his toxic behavior, warned women to run away, and still continued that same behavior. But with Kim, it wasn't just a whirlwind romance. It was years of power moves, image makeovers, and constant shifts in control. Kim became his biggest project yet. From the very beginning, their relationship was more than just love. It was a brand partnership. Kanye wasn't just her boyfriend. He wanted to recreate her. Literally. He once rapped about changing her wardrobe, and that wasn't just a lyric, it was a real plan. On an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kanye and his stylist showed up at Kim's house, told her that most of her clothes were embarrassing, and completely emptied her closet. What could have been a tense moment turned into a makeover montage, with Kim crying, but ultimately saying thank you. That moment said it all. Kanye saw himself as the person who could take Kim from being a reality star to becoming a fashion icon. And for a while, he actually pulled it off. He used his connections to get her into the Met Gala, he helped her land a Vogue cover, and he pushed her into the world of high fashion. To a lot of people, he elevated her. But behind the scenes, it was also a way of molding her into his vision of the perfect partner. At first, Kim seemed okay with it. She publicly credited Kanye with helping her evolve and said he taught her a lot. But the more influence he gained in her life, the more influence turned into control. It didn't stop with clothes. He started giving opinions on her business, her interviews, her social media posts, and even her body. It's like she went from being his girlfriend to his creation. Then came the contradictions. Kanye had built Kim's brand around her sexuality. He supported and even encouraged sexy photo shoots and revealing outfits. But in 2019, after Kanye had a major religious shift, he suddenly decided Kim was dressing too sexy. Right before the Met Gala that year, he told her dress made him uncomfortable because she was his wife. Kim pushed back. She reminded him that he helped her build her confidence and image. Just because he was changing didn't mean she had to follow. That moment exposed the biggest issue in their relationship. Kim was expected to change whatever Kanye did without question. She wasn't allowed to grow on her own terms. And when it came to their kids, Kanye doubled down. He tried to control decisions about where they'd live, how they'd be raised, and even what apps they could use. When their daughter North started posting videos on TikTok, Kanye went public to try and stop it, framing it like Kim was being irresponsible. Over time, Kanye's mental health became harder to ignore. He had public meltdowns, made wild claims on Twitter, and even involved their family in political speeches. Kim tried to protect him at first, asking for privacy and compassion, but eventually she couldn't keep covering for him, especially once his outbursts turned against her. While Kim filed for divorce in 2021, Kanye didn't take it well. He went after her new boyfriend Pete Davidson in his music, mocked their relationship online, and even released a disturbing animated video where he burned a clay version of Pete alive. It was aggressive, it was controlling, and it was part of the same old story we'd seen before with Amber, with his lyrics, and now his wife. The post-divorce period revealed just how deeply Kanye viewed Kim as his possession rather than his partner. Despite her clear boundaries and requests for privacy, he continued to publicly discuss their relationship, their children, and their divorce proceedings. He bought a house directly across from hers, a move that many viewed as an attempt to maintain surveillance and control despite the end of their marriage. The last and most recent, Bianca Sensori, Erasing of a Woman. After everything that went down with Kim, it didn't take long for Kanye to show up in the headlines again, this time with a new woman beside him, Bianca Sensori. At first, most people assumed it was just a rebound. You know how it goes. Big breakup, new arm candy, tabloid frenzy. But as more photos of the couple surfaced in early 2023, things started to feel off. This didn't look like a fresh start. It looked like the beginning of something much more extreme. Compared to Kim, where Kanye slowly shaped her image over time, Bianca's transformation was instant. Practically overnight, she went from a respected architectural designer, someone with a master's degree and a real career, to someone who looked more like Kanye's living art project than a partner. Before Kanye, Bianca had her own style. Polished, professional, modern. Her look was unique but grounded. After Kanye, that image disappeared fast. Her clothes became shockingly revealing. Think sheer bodysuits, barely there outfits, and public appearances that made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Her hair changed. Her energy changed, and most notably, her presence changed. She stopped talking in public altogether. That silence is what really made people start paying attention. With Kim, even when Kanye was trying to take control, she still had a voice. She still had her businesses, her own social media, her identity, but Bianca, she barely speaks. There are even rumors that Kanye has set strict rules for her, what she wears, what she eats, even whether she can speak at all in certain situations. To be clear, Kanye has always had strong opinions about fashion, but Bianca's outfits didn't feel like fashion statements. They felt more like a message. Like he's saying, look what's mine. She's dressed in ways that constantly attract attention, yet she almost always looks uncomfortable, like she's not the one choosing any of it. It's not just about clothes, though. This whole era lines up with Kanye's shift into some deeply conservative, even extreme beliefs. After his public meltdowns, anti-Semitic comments, and connections to far-right figures, he started sharing ideas about women that felt straight out of a patriarchal playbook. He started talking about women's values being in motherhood and obedience, ideas that clearly shaped how he approached his new relationship. And the timing isn't lost on anyone. Right when Kim was pulling away, building a life that didn't involve him, with her law school journey, solo projects, and setting boundaries, Kanye went the other direction. He didn't just replace her, he found someone he could completely mold. Unlike Kim, Bianca didn't come with a strong public brand or a family constantly in the media. In fact, reports say she's barely in touch with her family now. People who used to know her say they're shocked by the way she's changed, not just in looks, but how she seems to have faded into the background of Kanye's world. Their public appearances, especially in places like Italy, sparked real concern. Local officials were offended. Viewers online were unsettled. And while Kanye looked unfazed, Bianca looked uncomfortable. But the outfits kept coming. The silence continued. Looking at this pattern, you can't help but notice the progression. Kanye went from dressing Amber Rose to reshaping Kim Kardashian to now seemingly erasing Bianca Sensori. Each woman lost a little more of herself. With Amber, it was styling. With Kim, it was control. And with Bianca, it is as if Kanye doesn't even want a partner anymore. Just a mirror that reflects only him. And just when he thought he had it all figured out, Bianca had reportedly left Kanye in early April of this year. However, this time it seems a little different. Instead of bashing her right away, he was begging for her to come back. For a moment there, his relationship with Bianca was getting a little scary. The world, including myself, was starting to believe he had totally erased this woman and that there was no going back. We don't have any details on what was the final straw for her, but I personally am glad the light found her and she is making her way out. The relationship with Bianca isn't just another celebrity romance. It's the clearest sign yet of how far Kanye's obsession for control has gone and how it's no longer just about image, it's about ownership. When you line it all up, the Amber era, the Kim Kardashian empire, and now the silent spectacle of Bianca Sensori, a chilling pattern emerges. Kanye West's relationship aren't just love stories gone wrong. They look more and more like carefully curated control experiments. And at the root of it all, a past that's rarely talked about but impossible to ignore. Kanye's own admission of childhood sexual trauma involving a family member, no less, casts a dark shadow on everything. Once you know that, it's hard not to see the ways it echoes throughout his adult life. His fixations on women's bodies, his obsession with public image, and his apparent need to dominate not just careers and conversations, but the women closest to him. Now, having a better understanding of why Kanye acts the way he does, the horrifying questions we are left with is, how far will he go and who might be his next victim? I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe, and we will catch you on the next one.